Alright, back in the mix with a medieval combat video review after a long break. This is 2015 Crown in Meridies in SCA combat between Count Adhemar and Sir Barthelemy. So, first of all, thank you very much for coming to watch this video. It has been a little while since I've been able to record one of these. I'd like to say that life circumstances got in the way, but the truth is I've just had a lot of other things going on, and I could have made the time, but I didn't. So if you find this to be valuable, please do let me know. Folks have been pretty encouraging over the last little while, encouraging me to get back in the saddle and start recording more of these videos. So if you've got any feedback or comments, leave it below. I'm trying to decide whether or not I should keep doing these, so please do let me know. So on the left we have Adhemar, on the right is Barthelemy. Sometimes I get these names wrong. I tried to listen to what the herald said. So if I get the pronunciation wrong or anything like that, I apologize. So this is SCA combat. One hard blow to the head or body ends the fight. Hard blow to the arm or leg disables the use of that limb. So you might see people kneeling or fighting with one hand. That's a bit of an SCA silliness thing, but they do have to be hard blows. And they have to be hit with what would be the edge of a sword. These swords are sort of like wood, but they behave a lot like a steel sword of similar weight. So right off the bat, we notice a couple things about these guys. They're both right-handed. On the right-hand side, you see Barthelemy fighting with a center grip shield. The reason you can tell that is he's got this sort of handle here in the middle. You can also tell the orientation of the handle sort of along that line. So in this case, it's an oval shield, and it looks like the handle pretty much travels the same direction as the oval. Sometimes not. It's a little tricky, so we'll see if we get a look on the back. Adhemar is fighting with an arm strap shield, so his hand is here, and his arm is strapped into the shield. Gives him a little less flexibility with the shield, but a lot more strength with it. You get different angles and stuff like that. They both are fighting with a really high stance. My hypothesis is, just looking at the way they're moving their swords, they're both pretty light swords. So what we'll do is we'll go through the first exchange. This is going to be the best of 5. So the first person to win 3 fights is going to end up winning the crown and being in charge of the SCA Kingdom of Meridies for 6 months. So this is the best of the best in this area. So let's see how this works out. So Barthelemy with a really high guard. It looks a bit like he's leaving his leg open, but he knows that. He's also fighting shield leg forward, so that leg's a bit of a bait. And you can see he's going for a counter vertical slot shot against Adhemar. Adhemar comes in with a strong set of combinations. See Barthelemy through an offside leg that's really quick, but he gets caught by that forward. There it is again, that forward shield stance with Adhemar. Adhemar also doing combos, lots of ducking and getting deep under his shield, throwing into deep shots to the side. A little bit of a conversation here. It looked to me like Barthelemy got maybe hit in the leg. This is an honor system, so Barthelemy decides to take it. Can't really make out what was said here. Maybe you can. I'll post a link to the source video. I've watched this video once before, and it looks like the marshal, or maybe that's the king there on the left, says, no, I don't think that was a good leg, so please don't take it. So they continue to fight on. So there was some question. He wasn't sure if it was a good leg shot. He decided to take it as an honorable person. But it was told, no, that wasn't good enough. You see, once again, he's chopping for that offside leg, a couple quick chops for the face. Looks like Adhemar again is looking to close distance. When he sees the opportunity to jump in, he's baiting a counter shot. He wants to jump in and sort of go into angulation around the defense. We'll see if that plays out again here. Again, right at that maximum range. There's that lightning quick offside. That might have been in the wrist. In the SCA, it has to be a shot from above the knee, so basically the thigh, or from the wrist down. So the hands are invulnerable, and the knees and shins and feet are invulnerable as well, so there's not that much of an open target on these guys. You see they're throwing really fast. Again, there's a really cool shot to finish the first fight. So let's go down. We'll break that out into all of the exchanges that they had. We'll do that in a little bit of slow motion and see what it is that we can analyze there. Sorry, sometimes I go a little too far. So we saw some of this play. This is in slow motion. So right off the bat, that's that first opening shot. So this is an opening. You see Barthelemy take that step back with that lead leg, but he sort of plants here. So as he takes this step back, I'm going back and forward here. So he takes the step back, but he's not actually retreating. And what that does is it either baits Adhemar into charging, or it's just what Adhemar's looking for to close, because as we're going to see, he wants to close. So that foot comes back. Barthelemy's not retreating, but what it does is it creates enough of an impulse that you see Barthelemy or Adhemar come in. And as he does, he's pushing off that front foot to charge in so hard it actually slips back a little bit. And he's coming in high. Now, as soon as, I think he actually wants this shot. If you look, he's got this little bit of a gap here. And to a high-level fighter, that little bit of an angle looks like an opening, especially when he's stepping forward. If he's foolish enough to step forward and he drops his shield as he does, because when you're running, it's really hard to keep your shield in front of you. Maybe that opening is just enough. So that's where you see Barthelemy try to throw that onside shot in through that gap. But it's actually a bait. And that gets that opening shot in here. See, that shield comes up. He's ready for that. Pops that shield up. Gets a good clear block. He's totally blind against this block. He's counting on the fact his shield's going to pick that up. He's counting on the fact that he raised his shield long enough that it wasn't a high shot that dipped low to the leg or anything like that. But that lets him get in. And look at the amount of wrist angulation. So to get his sword rotated for the onside, he's going to roll his wrist back and then come forward. That opening shot, he's throwing that blind at this point. He doesn't even know if there's an opening. Almost, but Barthelemy keeps his shield forward. But really, at this point, you see Adhemar's left the ground, and he is closing hard, right? So he's trying an overwhelmed defense. Barthelemy's coming back fast. And one thing that he's doing really well that you see not everyone does is he's keeping his center of gravity between his feet for the most part. I sometimes lean back and end up with no option but to go backwards. So he's keeping his balance under him. And here you see, if we go back, you see this first shot comes in here and then a teardrop return to the same area. Again, he's just throwing without looking for an opening necessarily, but he knows there might be one. And then he recovers again. This time he recovers up over in front of his face. To me, at this moment, it looks like he's then going to throw back down into the leg. Let's see what he does. And again, he is on the move. Nope, he doesn't. That's another circle around. It's going to be an onside shot at this point. You can see as soon as the hands roll back, it's going to be another onside. And this time he throws for the leg. But if you look, you can see the sword bending. It's look at how far the blade travels in one frame. The sword's traveling really fast. It's just hitting with a tip. It doesn't look like he has a thrusting tip on it. And the sword is bending a lot. As I said, I think these are really light swords given the speed that they're moving. And you can see it just sort of cuts right through. So Barthelemy just basically gets out of there and pulls almost all the power. So that one almost whiffs. And then that counter slot shot that Barthelemy is throwing, as he's stepping, note he's not just stepping back, he's stepping into angulation around behind. And then he takes his hand, does a little circle motion for power, and then drops the shot straight down that gap, past the edge of Adhemar's shield. But Adhemar, continuing to be on the move, manages to pull back his momentum enough that that shot misses. At that point, Barthelemy's feet are out from underneath him as he counterbalances. That's the end of that exchange. So let's see the next one. Again, we're in slow motion here. So there we see that offside. It opens with a fake. If you watch, there's a little pop up. There's that, oh, I'm faking. Adhemar doesn't bite it. Then that offside leg, right? So he's going pop up. It's a fake to the head. Offside leg shot, and it just skips off that shield. It's pretty fast. The other thing you'll notice, at this distance, they both have actually quite a different stance. So Barthelemy's sword is in front. He's sort of got like a boxer grip. Both of his hands are in front of his body. Adhemar is not doing Old Castle, but he's doing a style where both of his hands, yes, they're in front, but his blade is across his face, and his shield arm is across his body. So that's more of his hand is above his shoulder. If we look, his hand's above his shoulder, and Barthelemy's is in front of his shoulder a little bit more. So it's a bit of a different stance. It allows you to throw different shots. That's part of the reason Barthelemy can throw that really quick offside and punching shots, whereas Adhemar is more prepared for rotational shots, in my opinion. So there's that offside leg. Oh, getting off screen here. Sorry about that. So Adhemar opens with a shot that, if we can track that. I would say that the first two of those shots are just meant to get things going. So the first shot that Adhemar throws here. He's throwing right... Actually, you know what? That's a big opening feint. So he's throwing the fake offside leg. He's aiming high, fake offside leg, and instead of finishing the offside leg, what he does is pull up and convert to an onside snap. Now, I'm not sure if he's throwing for an opening with that, or if he planned to do the feint first, but dropping the blade here and then that rotation into the head is actually a pretty cool move. So there's that fake offside leg. He pulls the elbow down, pulls the hand down, and then what he's going to do is rotate the blade to be able to change that motion and aim for this area up here, but it just isn't open when it gets there, right? So the shield is a bit out of position because he's following that offside leg. See, the shield drops. Following that, instead of doing the sword block, he's able to get the head block back up, partially because he takes the step. And now, in this position, if you look once again, Adhemar's managed to roll that shot. Instead of like burying it into the shield, he's managed to get the momentum back over this way. To me, when he gets to here, it looks like he's corked up. You can see his elbow and his shoulder for that offside leg shot. Just not quite there. So Barthelemy's defense is catching most of that. But he's actually got really good mechanics. And in this case, another neat thing, these guys are throwing great shots. So Barthelemy, you see, he's stepped this way, now he's rotated this way, now he's going back this way, and he's going to attempt a wrap around this side, which would normally work pretty well because Adhemar's continued to go this way, right? But Adhemar gets deep with that shield. You see he's lifted his shield pretty far up to catch that with the top edge and block the wrap. Then continuing to throw blows at each other. So pretty cool. You also see him get real low. When Adhemar loses track of Barthelemy's sword, he gets nice and low and defends himself really well. I think this is where they have that discussion. You see that leg shot land a little bit maybe. Right about, where is it now? I think right there. Yeah, so he's like, I'm not sure, that maybe skipped off my leg a little bit. Let's talk about it. Okay, I'll take it. And then he's told, no. Like, if it wasn't good, don't take it. So it continues on. All right, back into slow motion. Here they are at that same range again. By this point, we should know that Barthelemy is going to try to bait Adhemar in and attempt a counterpunch, maybe with that offside. Adhemar is going to charge, throw shots to a bunch of different areas. There's that flicking offside shot going for the arm. Adhemar managed to get his wrist down so it doesn't count. There's Adhemar with more feints getting in. That's actually a really neat shot that Barthelemy throws, that offside. We watch this. So he throws this onside snap we've seen before, but watch the offside that he follows. He's trying to get up over, because Adhemar's crouching as he steps in. Barthelemy's tries to get over the top, and look, he hasn't recovered his sword back over his shoulder yet. So he manages to get some of the rotation and bounce and convert, and see he jumps up to try to get a high angle. Now, most guys with a shield, an arm strap shield, are not going to get it up over their head like that. So that's actually what protects Barthelemy, or protects Adhemar here, because you notice his sword's dropping for the low shot. So pretty much the only defense he has against a really, really high offside like that is to do what he has with his shield. So far, I mean, other than be there, or like he could have maybe stepped a little bit closer under the shot or anything like that. But that's the kind of defense that's a bit tricky against such a high offside. And the fact that he was prepared to defend against it is actually pretty neat, because most people couldn't throw an offside from there. See, he's quite comfortable getting way under his shield. Now, at this point, this seems a bit risky to me. If Barthelemy throws from here for like a deep scooping wrap, now, granted, he's in the air and his movement is a bit up, he's got to come back down, but if he's able to throw a wrap around the side of these ribs at this point, Adhemar's sort of blind. He doesn't know what's happening. He can be watching his opponent's feet, but if Barthelemy can get that hand under the edge of the shield, as soon as the hand's under the shield, the tip is under the shield. So he could take the body or the leg here. But he goes high and throws a second wrap into that same high area. So Adhemar's got it covered. Now, as he's pulling back, note Barthelemy doesn't do an overhand recovery. He pulls the sword straight back, which leaves the blade in this position. So this offside that Adhemar's corking off with here might go straight into that sword defense. Instead, what Adhemar does, rotate it down, and he's aiming for this slot. This is so cool. He's aiming for the slot between the sword and shield. Now, the sword, granted, isn't low, but if the sword's in that orientation, then there's a gap all the way down. Even if he drops both his hands. But that doesn't, you can see that sort of maybe catches the shield edge. Yeah, I think it catches the shield edge, but it's close. And here, I think this is when he notices. There's this gap here this time, I almost got it. And that is a vertical offside that he's throwing, right? So that is a very, very vertical shot that he's throwing. There he throws forward again. Now, he might catch some of it in the body here. Hard to tell. It's also probably doesn't quite land with power because Barthelemy stepped this direction and maybe taken some of the power up. But now that's 2 times in a row he throws for that slot. Take off the slow-mo for a minute. This is actually interesting. At this moment, you can see they're both breathing heavily. If you're one of these fighters, you're probably thinking, is he breathing heavier than me? If he's more exhausted than I am, maybe I should push the advantage right now. But they're both tired. Maybe that's exactly what Barthelemy thinks, is it looks like Adhemar's heaving pretty hard there, so I'm going to get this going. And that's that killing shot. And if you look, the first opening shot here, I'm not even sure that's a real shot. I think what this happens, this is the 3rd shot in a row for that vertical slot offside. It's a really cool move. So, big opener, Adhemar steps in, pops the shield forward. This time, I think, it's hard to tell from this angle, but I think Barthelemy's also starting at a closer distance between them. So I think Adhemar has less distance to close. There's that step, and he doesn't throw first. He steps in, and it almost looks like he's reacting and getting under a shot before the throw. And look, he's not saying, okay, I see the shot coming, because Barthelemy's not throwing the shot yet. He says, no, I'm going in, and what he does is he dips low. Now he gets hit in the head, but he gets hit in the very top of the head by a pretty light sword from a guy who's a little bit out of position in this position, right? He's reaching across his body. His weight is now behind both of his feet, right? And it probably doesn't hit very hard, especially against a steel helmet. So it's really, really good targeting. If you look, there's not a lot of room over that shield edge. So he does manage to connect him in the head. But I think Barthelemy's baiting that head shot. And notice he's really corked up to start throwing with power. And this first shot, again, he's throwing it blind. And if you look, it looks like he's aiming for the fences, right? But I don't think it's his real blow. He throws that really hard shot. And check this out. Here's another thing you'll see. One of the reasons why I think these swords might be really light. Look at the bend on that sword. So maybe it catches him a little bit in the shoulder. It looks like it also catches the shield. But that sword is really bending. And then here's the shot I think he really wants to throw. And watch what he does with his feet. We'll go over this one a couple times because this is pretty cool. He jumps up and his momentum. Now watch his body movement continues this way. His foot movement comes this way. His body's traveling this way. But look at where this sword goes. He's in midair, and he throws another vertical shot right into that same spot we saw between the sword and shield, right? So this is the same orientation we saw them before. So we just watched this a few times. Just coming in hard, throws that shot, hits maybe the shoulder. Maybe Barthelemy's taking it. We don't know. Or maybe it was mostly shield. He continues that movement, and as they're both continuing at a pace to the right, the blade comes in from the left. And Adhemar has to land almost backwards to get that rotation as he's traveling through. So he goes forward, he has to jump and rotate his body. He lands. When he lands, look at his foot is pointed the entirely other direction. His other foot lands almost entirely the other direction. So he's had to turn almost his back to be able to clear his elbow up, to clear his shoulder, and to get around the edge of that shield. So pretty cool slot shot. Jumping slot to land with a move where if you look at it from where Barthelemy's seeing, it looks like he's probably coming all threats over on this side, right? But instead, everything's moving this way and the blow comes that way. Pretty cool. So that's the first of 3 fights. Now I'll get forward to the next match. Again, we'll watch this whole pass and then we'll break it down. So again, similar setup. Now, another thing to look at, they're both starting shield leg forward most of the time. Once again, we see Barthelemy Barthelemy giving ground while Adhemar opens. There's that offside leg shot. And a really quick counter punch. So let's see how that all breaks down. Again, so here we have that opening. A lot of them making just slight movements with the legs. See, and again, once again, we see Barthelemy make a slight shift. That's what Adhemar's waiting for, so he comes in. But notice when he comes in, and you see a lot of like implacable dudes will do this. They don't throw when they come in. They come in waiting to see what to throw. That's one step. Now he's moving. As the second step comes, he does what looks like a shot, but he still hasn't committed. You see, he's dropped the hand, and he's made a movement, but he still hasn't decided what he's doing. Now he's going on his third step. Strong onside shot, and once again, cutting this way, and it's allowing him to maintain power in the blade. So even though that's blocked, he doesn't really care. That's just the opener. And again, here, once again, it could be an offside leg, or he could be doing a loop to the same side, right? So you don't quite know what the defense is, and because it's been a hard shot into the shield, look, Barthelemy is part blinded. That time it is, in fact, a shot to the offside leg. Now, Barthelemy knows where his opponent's at, even though he can't really see, or maybe he's only seeing around the right-hand side of his shield, but he can see his feet, and he can presume where the arm is, so he throws a pretty cool counter right there, but Adhemar gets his shield edge up. Boom. And he actually, if you look, Barthelemy's done it from pretty strong angulation, like he's getting out of there and still throws that counter chop. It just catches Adhemar's shield. Now here you see, anytime I see someone doing this with their hand, like Barthelemy's doing, it means they're probably either baiting or they're very keyed up to counterpunch. When someone's keyed up, it either means they're getting ready to do something or they're like hoping that you will do exactly what they want. See, he takes that little step forward. Oh, looks like it was probably a bait. Oh, now he's keyed, right? So see, again, there's that anticipation. Is he trying to tell you that he's keyed up? So there's a push up. To me, that looks like a bit of an oversell because he's pushing so much up. It doesn't look to me like he's going to be against someone who's a royal peer. That's probably a bit more of a fake than I would throw. So he does that and then throws a big leg wrap. So you can tell what he's trying to do is he's trying to get Adhemar to lift his shield, saying, hey, this is a high attack, and then I'm going to throw under it with a shot here. So there's up, and then the wrap. And he's keeping himself pretty well defended at this point. He's got his shield up, and then I think what Adhemar is doing is he's just waiting for that shield to come back down. Wait. Nope, he actually throws right behind it. So instead of waiting for the shield to come down, he throws that same slot, only this time he throws it before. When he threw it 3 times, he had the hand high and the blade low. This time he's throwing to the same angle, but he's doing the blade or the hand low and the blade high. So just a straight shot down, boom, right there in the gap, and I think it catches him in the face. So not necessarily hard, but in the face, and you can see it bounces a bit. So that's probably a nice hard shot, maybe in the top of the chest. And that's the second fight. So one more takes it. Okay, sorry. Sometimes I fast forward too far. It seems like it goes like slow fast forward until it goes like ultra fast forward. Okay, similar opening to what we saw before. There's that offside leg again. Stepping in the same way. Good counter chop, just sword blocked. This time you actually see them standing at range, going back and forth a little bit more. Barthelemy almost landing that offside leg shot that time. And if you look, it's easy to lose this in high speed, but these guys are throwing really, really fast shots, which means they have to fight a very defensive style. And they definitely look to cut pieces off of each other. They're not necessarily moving each other's defense around a ton. What they're trying to do is throw for openings around each other's shields. There's that wrap. Just got around the edge of the shield after a nice bobble. So at this point now, according to the rules, Barthelemy has to fight from his legs, or from a kneeling position, because he got hit in that left leg. Now, again, SCA rules, now that he's in that position, most areas you can't kick him over. You can't, you can't just walk around behind him. You got to sort of face him from the front. If he falls over you, let him get back up. sort of a honorable chivalric ideal of tournament combat. Let him get back on his feet, after a manner of speaking, and get really low. Now, at this point, his elbow's able to control the shield a bit. And they're both sort of chopping for openings. Nice deep body wrap. You see some people try that. It's a cool move. Didn't land this time. Barthelemy saw it. But that one got under. And that is 3 out of 5 for the victory. So let's take a look at these exchanges. Again, we'll watch this in slow motion now and then. Oh, here's an interesting moment, by the way. So there are no ropes in this particular match, but in most areas, if you get pushed in the ropes multiple times, you lose. So Adhemar is letting him away from the edges, in a sense. You see him back up. So there's that as we see that offside leg chop, like we saw. And see, he's backing up to let him get closer to the center of the field again. So there you step in, don't throw, don't throw, don't throw, baiting, right? So you can usually tell that's a pretty advanced technique to sort of have, there is winding. That's 2 or 3 fakes, right? So he goes here, I'm going to step forward, I'm going to throw an onside shot. Nope, I'm going to throw an offside shot, moulinet to the leg. No, I'm not. I'm pulling my hand back. That's going to be an offside head. No, that's going to be a vertical shot to the onside head. No, that's a leg shot, right? So he's doing a lot of interesting sword flippy stuff. But Barthelemy doesn't buy it, and right now he's looking to counter chop. If I'm him at this point, maybe I can catch that head. Gets under the shield instead. I'm not, like, personally, I wouldn't have thrown the wrap, but that's because I can't throw a wrap from that position. I think that was actually a pretty cool move. And here you see another thing. At this point, you see a lot of dynamism. If you take a quick look, that offside leg is even more of a threat than normal because, look, his sword leg is forward now. So Adhemar switched to a sword leg forward stance because that's where he naturally landed, and he continues to fight from sword leg forward. And he almost gets tagged in that leg here as a result of it, but you can see just blocks it. Or just manages to, let's see, he catches just a bit of it on the edge of the shield, I think. Yeah, maybe skips it off just a little bit, doesn't bite really. And that's thrown mostly arm as well. So there's that same real deep offside shot. There's another chop for that leg again. And that chop to the leg probably gets caught up in the skirt a bit. You can see it bounces off the shield a bit, so close. And then Adhemar throws a counter shot under the shield, probably also catches the skirt there a little bit. It looks like maybe even the sword skips off the bottom of the shield and sketches the skirt, so like just margins of inches here. Because of the fast sword, you're going to have to land pretty meaty, and you're going to have to throw a lot of body behind it, or you're going to have to catch someone in the face. Okay, closing again. At this point, a little circling to make sure he doesn't end up against the edge of the field. Really neat sword block there from Adhemar because his shield was down, so he was able to quickly pop the hand across his body to make that sword block against the onside shot. So really good last-ditch defense. Closing again without throwing a shot, and there's the wrap that lands. So let's take a look at that. What sets that up? Adhemar actually doesn't come straight in. Look, he steps to the side before coming forward, and then he goes to the side again. And he's going to the opposite side of most right-handers. Most right-handers, when they circle, they're going this way. So he takes a step this way, a step forward, and a step this way. And you can see that's why their chests are basically against each other instead of their shields against each other. Now, at this point, Adhemar gets the wrap. He's now twisting a step this way, step this way. It's a good time to throw a wrap the other direction. Looks like it might land a little flat, in all honesty. A little hard to tell. There's a frame there where we can't tell. So the blade, technically you need the blade on. It also does look like you can see black tape there, so there's a chance that the blade of his sword is rotated differently in his hand than it looks. But lands a good wrap just on the belt, or just below the belt, it looks like. So that's why it's a leg shot, because it's below the belt. And once again, he's comfortable getting down behind his shield. Now they set up and fight this way. Oops. Again, you go from not fast-forwarding enough to fast-forwarding way too much. So now different areas have different rules for how close you're allowed to get. We missed just one little exchange here. So I think in this area in Meridies, you're allowed to get pretty close to your opponent when they're kneeling. So right into the shield and then trying to get under there. Now it landed above the belt, which is why that didn't count as a wounding blow if it was hard enough. But got in far enough, he accidentally pushed him over. So now I'm going to scrub back and forth manually here. So again, this is just a shot right into the shield. What that does is it immobilizes the shield, pauses him for a second, and gives you a moment to maybe get, as he has to recover his shield, get down behind his own shield and start doing some stuff. So again, here you see he's hit the shield. Looks like he's throwing for that side. He's actually going to go on to the other side, skip a tempo, and then that deep vertical shot. Now Barthelemy gets his hand down to block it, gets his shield over to block it, so no problem. Now Adhemar sees the opportunity to go over the top or around the side, because all the defense at this point to block that slot has happened over here. So he comes over the top, but it just catches that shield edge. If you'd thrown this shot, ended up coming in at this angle. If you'd managed to throw a wrap down, I think that probably would have landed. Or if you'd managed to get down deep around here, maybe landed. But tough to throw to those angles from that spot. So there's the onside shot, also very safe. Note from this position, he's really well protected because he knows Barthelemy's sword hand is over on that side, his sword is over here. He's got his own sword in that same position to block them both, his own hand protecting him, and his shield's protecting him over here. So there's not a lot that Barthelemy can do from that position to counter. And look, he's just been hit so hard that Barthelemy's knee got pushed off the ground. So he's actually a bit off balance as well. And now, in this position, if you look at his foot, if you look at the line of his feet and his hand traveling up, to me it looks like this is a moment where he's getting ready for a wide shot. So his hand's coming up, he's just circled the sword. To me it looks like he's ready for a lot of rotational power. And look at that. You see the sword just bend. And at this point I'm starting to suspect that maybe instead of being really light, really fast swords, I'm starting to wonder if maybe his sword isn't broken. Hint, I think it is. Now he's just cutting around the shield edges. Barthelemy's throwing for what he can get, but he's got to play it as safe as he can. And then here, this shot comes. Look at the sword bend around the shield there. So that sword is actually bent like this around the shield edge. Now, in slow motion, everything looks super epic and swords bend. Now, look at that. At this point, I think Barthelemy's actually got one knee on the ground as he gets down under his shield for defense. So that's pretty dynamic. I don't see a lot of people doing that. And look at, Barthelemy sees this, says to himself, if I can get my hand under that shield edge, I can chop him in this gap. And so Adhemar brings his basket hilt over to protect his face. Pretty cool. Adhemar also presses in and forward into this quadrant, again stifling that hand. And now you can see he's in a position over that. He's got his elbow over his opponent's shield, and now he's playing sticky hand a little bit. He's using his sword elbow to control the shield, and he's also playing sticky hand with the sword a little bit to maintain control. But he's also looking for an opening. If he can get his elbow under that shield edge, he can hook that shield edge open with his elbow and provide a killing blow. But he's got to watch for that counter. See, that gets in there, but he's just sort of wiggling around. This is a place where, if I'm Barthelemy, I'm thinking, man, if I had a thrusting tip on my sword, I would be able to do this. Oof, into the underside of the jaw. But he doesn't have a thrusting tip, so he's not allowed to stab. And this motion here, at this point, what he does, if you look at what Adhemar does with his shield, the sword is underneath the shield. There's a few things happening here. The shield stays tight against Adhemar's body, and he rotates. Is he worried about the sword tip under his jaw when he rotates away? I think no. He's rotating away with his shield pressed against his body. Look what it does to Barthelemy's sword. It pulls Barthelemy's sword out of position, pulls Barthelemy forward. Also, the shield edge is pressing against the front of Barthelemy's shield, tabling it, because there's pressure down here. And remember, Barthelemy's got a center grip shield, so it's going to rotate and hinge on that center grip, right? So the shield is rotated away from them, swords pulled away. That means Barthelemy has very few options right now. And as the sword gets released, he tries to recover it, throw a wrap around the edge. Nope, that's a bit of a flat one. Barthelemy's coming back. And at this point, Barthelemy's been able to get most of his defense, but now Adhemar's inside his shield with his hip and his body. I'm sorry, Adhemar's inside Barthelemy's shield. Barthelemy's still throwing good chops past the line of defense. Adhemar throws that deep body that you see sometimes people land, hanging, nice hanging guard. And again, Barthelemy's still chopping for openings, but not catching anything. Here you see Adhemar actually goes forward and with the bottom of his sword, grabs his opponent's sword and pulls it forward. Right there. Right? So at this point, totally fine weapon-on-weapon interaction. It's not grappling, which is not allowed in the SCA. But what he's doing is he's basically taking control and smothering his opponent and forcing him into awkward positions. Barthelemy's still able to get his sword free and doing lots of threats. But as he gets his sword free, he makes this one fatal mistake right here. He lifts his shield. Watch. I don't think that's Adhemar pushing the shield out of the way. I don't think there's enough power on Adhemar's shield to do this. I think what's happening is Barthelemy's thinking there's a threat up here or over here. So I think instead of having his shield moved out of the way, he's actually lifting it. And that's where he bites the wrap to the ribs. And if you look at this point, it's pretty clear that sword's broken. And it might have been broken for a while. So that right there is 3 out of 5 fights. And there's a new king in 2015. And then as always with good friends in the SCA, it looks like these gentlemen know each other. And they get a good congratulations hug at the end there. Well, spoiler, I saw it before. Right, so let me know if you found that to be a helpful analysis. I know it went a little long this time. I know, speaking of going a little long, I know that it's been way too long since I recorded one of these fights. A lot of people at events have been telling me that it's fruitful. Let me know if you're on YouTube and you think that you'd like to see more of these analyses. Just let me know in the comments. Maybe that'll help keep my ass in gear and maybe I can do more of them. Thanks for your patience. Merry Christmas.